UV light basically disables all microbes or a lot of the microbes in the process, E. coli mostly, and so you get microbless water coming out. In order to use a UV light, that water needs to be filtered from turbidity, like dust and stuff, so that what you're doing with the rock is great. If you can add a microfilter or a carbon filter in the process, that's going to take also the smaller particles that the big stuff doesn't go, and so the water is not turbulent, and UV light can kill, as a result, all the microbes. Your other option, which also requires pre-filtering because it can clog easily, is a reverse osmosis system that you can get from any of these stores. More expensive than a UV light, and it has a reject amount, and you have to change the filters on a regular basis. A UV light, you have to change the light, but not that often. So these would be the options if you're going to use that water for anything like washing or kids playing with it. That's your...
A lot of our new cultivars that Christy was talking about are in here as well. So these on this front table, most of those are experimental turf grasses that haven't been released yet. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. It's very clean.
Great.
And we had a parking lot in here, and so I got funding to design and build this. And so we built this, and it's been here for 9 years now. Those who have been here for 2.5 years. This has been here for 9 years, and you can see it's doing great. We have this Marsilia plant that prevents the grass from invading it, and it's a wetland-friendly plant, so it never goes out where it's not wet. See, there's not even one plant. They don't protect it that way. And then we have a few different plants that have been surviving happily. Some of them are Texas Star, which is a rating that's given to plants that are
Texas Superstar.
Texas Superstar, yes. A couple of Texas Superstars are here. We have, we have a horticulture specialist who can tell you what it is. But this is the same design. The runoff comes from the parking lot, and right now it's coming from the road. This is the forebay. It breaks the force of the water, and then water comes in here. 3 feet of the sandy mix, water completely disappears under it, and then if it comes up and overflows, it will overflow into that manhole. And so what is overflowing? It's the rain events that are larger than 2 inches. So that's already cleaner. Why? Because whenever it's dry and all the oil and dirt and sand is here, all that's going to be washed out in the first 2 inches. We don't call it the first flush. So that 3rd inch that we're allowing to overflow untreated is already cleaner than the first 2 inches. And the beauty of the system, similar to that, the pipe that takes the water from that manhole, and if you feel free to go in and look at it. I don't think there's any snake, but it's all good. It goes in. This is a native. That's what happens. This is basically a combination of a detention pond and a wetland. So a lot of the water that comes from this bioretention and from the 2 medians ends up in this detention pond. If you go look at this site on Google Earth or Google Maps, you will see there's this Y-shaped detention pond. One branch takes from those 2 medians, and one branch takes from here, and they meet at that cottonwood tree right there in the center. And so these 2 branches, they act basically like a bioswale or a wetland. Water travels very slowly in them. After a rain event, gets treated, and then from that cottonwood plant on, it's a detention pond. Water is stored there and forced to infiltrate so that it doesn't overflow. So again, these 2 systems, that detention pond, the bioretention areas, the rainwater harvesting tank, you can see this one right here, it says H2O. We have one on each building. We have a huge one beside the main building, and next to it there's an underground one that captures the majority of the rain that falls on that building. This one captures the majority of the rain that falls on this building. Even the small buildings, each one of them have a rainwater harvesting tank. So the combination of three things, three of the four things I talked about: rainwater harvesting, rain gardens or bioretention, and wetland detention pond. These systems make this property nearly a zero runoff property. All is reused on site and treated in the process. Any questions or thoughts?
Bravissimo. Bravissimo. Bravissimo.
Everybody else do it.
So, lectures like this one, now you guys know, right? You've heard of it. So, rainwater harvesting, I would never put something like that in my house, but if you go search stuff, or if you need information, you can contact me. My information is still on the screen, and you can put a tank off your house. Rain gardens, there are designs that are very little work effort, basically just a depression 4 to 6 inches deep, and we have a list of plants you can select from that a lot of the nurseries here have. You can put a rain garden in your house. So we go give lectures. We have people like me that are nearly dedicated to give lectures on this topic, and we're trying to convince people. We work with cities. The city of Dallas has we just finished a project with them in which we identified every single square foot in the city where we could put any of these practices, and that's for them to look into when they have funding from a bond project. Where can they go and put green infrastructure? They're interested too, because EPA is cracking down on them. So they're the ones that are, we got funding to do this, large amounts, this project that builds this and the detention pond. We have a permeable pavement at the end, but it's too far for us to go see. This was funded by EPA and PCEQ for $700,000 in 2012. So I wouldn't get money if there wasn't interest by the governments and the public, and so we're getting there. There's a lot of just Google green stormwater infrastructure, and you'll be amazed at the amount of information and cities about projects cities have been doing, and it's increasing. I joined here in 2007. There was probably not one rain garden in the whole DFW area, and right now I can have 4 or 5 pages of rainwater harvesting, bioretention, permeable pavement sites that you can go visit.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What did this look like before you started?
This used to be like this. It used to be just grass area, and actually some of it was used as research plots for people to do research in. But then they knew they were planning to sell part of the property to development. So they actually stopped people from using that section. So it was left as a green, and it was being mowed on a regular basis. So grass is great, but when it's not for a house or something, it's using extra water, and it used a lot of the time of our maintenance crew to mow. Right now, the maintenance of this is nothing. They don't do anything. They just come and look at it, and then so we saved on maintenance and mowing costs too.
So I see that it kind of follows like an S, like a regular stream would.
Yes.
You did that on purpose and
We
not
did
just
it.
straight, because that's very important, correct?
Absolutely. So for streams, it is amazingly important. Streams naturally meander. When you straighten them, you cause severe erosion on the banks, and it's a big deal. For a detention pond, it's not that important, but we did it that way to highlight that stream benefit. Flow here doesn't go that fast as a stream. It fills in, and it really fills up like a bathtub, and it flows very slowly. So the meanders here are not, the purpose is not highly to reduce any problem, but it's so for when people look at it from Google Earth and see how the meander looks, to understand that that is a natural phenomenon that needs to be respected in streams and rivers.
So this is part of the retention pond right here.
It is.
And how deep is this?
It varies, but it's around 12 to 15 feet on average.
12 to 15 feet. And when it rains, this whole thing fills up.
So it's sloping, right? Because the slope is natural there.
I see that.
And we have an outlet structure at the end. So half of it fills up, half of it fights its way and gets cleaned in the process in the two arms before it meets where it fills up where the cottonwood is, that tree right there. So if you look at the grasses next to the cottonwood, you can see they're a little bit different. They're more water liking because it's wetter there all the time. And water stands in there usually for 2 to 3 weeks. If it doesn't rain, like right now in August, it might be very dry at this point. But if it rains in April and fills up completely, if we don't get any other rain, it dries up. But usually we get the rain in April and it keeps raining like right now until mid-June. So it's completely full in the bottom end until the end of June, early July. And then we start getting droughts like now, and it starts going down, and then completely dries up by the end of August until the next rain starts coming in October.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
And that tank is rainwater harvesting. So that tank is collecting water from the roof of the building. Yeah.
And what do you use that water for?
Irrigate the landscape. There's also one in front of that building, and we have an underground tank. So between those two tanks, all the landscaping you saw this morning is irrigated from those two tanks.
Yep. And when they overflow into the median. So we don't let the overflow go on the concrete and flow to stormwater. They overflow into the rain garden, and then from the rain garden they go to this detention pond, and then if this fills up, it overflows to the stormwater system.
That's going to take like 20 inches of rain in one day.
There we go.
20 inches in 1 week.
Which will never happen.
It all depends, unless it so one of the things is that this one doesn't infiltrate very fast. So if we get like in May, if we get like a rain in mid-April, then every 2 days it starts raining, this will start filling up.
Yeah.
At some point in the end of May, we get a lot of overflow. But the overflow is the old water that's been sitting here for a while and has settled and it's cleaner. New water pushes the old water out. It's not designed to overflow from the new water. So it's clean water that we're letting out. That's the result. But yeah.
What's your name again, please?
It's Fouad Jaber. You can take a picture.
I certainly will. And you? I know you.
Joe Masabni.
Very nice. I've spoken with you before. Thank you so much. Can I put this on my YouTube channel?
Absolutely.
Thank you.